Good afternoon, one and all. On behalf of IIC Westcorp team, I, Samiksha Pujari, welcome our speaker, Padma Vibhushan, Professor M.M. Sharma, Shri B.L. Bulani ji, Trustee in Charge Westcorp, and respected Principal Madam Professor Supriya Shidhare, Professor Rajeshri Hirlekar Madam, all faculty members and participants. I feel privileged to introduce Dr. Mrs. Supriya Shidhare, Principal of VES College of Pharmacy on this occasion. Madam is the chairperson of Board of Studies, University Mumbai. She has over 28 years of teaching and research experience. With her vast experience in research and academics, she has always guided and enlightened us. She is a lady who believes to lead by her own example. She has received total research grant of rupees 1 crore 5 lakhs 98,000 from various government bodies and pharmaceutical companies till date. She has many national and international publications and presentations to her credit. She is also a certified yoga teacher. In this COVID era, we are constantly moving ahead and trying to adapt and evolve under her superb guidance and constant motivation. Now I request our principal madam to address the audience with her welcome note.
Good afternoon, one and all. Respected Dr. Professor M.M. Sharma, our chief guest and keynote speaker, our trustee Shri B.L. Bulani ji, Professor Rajeshri Hirlekar, IUSC coordinator, President of IIC Dr. Mushtaq, Vice President Dr. Anita Aire, my dear colleagues and all faculty members and delegates. VS College of Pharmacy is delighted to welcome all of you to this inauguration of the lecture series in Innovative Disruptions in Academia. Talking about VS College of Pharmacy, in pursuit of the goal to provide quality education to all the strata of society, VS has set up 26 institutions over the last 59 years, which include schools, junior college, degree college in arts, science, commerce, polytechnic, engineering, management, architecture, and law. So VS College of Pharmacy was established in 2007 by our founding trustee, Shri B.L. Bulani ji, with the help of our chief coordinator, Professor Jharna Das Madam. Presently, we are running B.Pharm program of 100 intake and M.Pharm program in various branches. We also have PhD program in pharmaceutics and pharmaceutical chemistry. So with the state-of-the-art research facilities and advanced library support, the endeavor of undertaking novel research is being fulfilled well with some breakthrough outcomes. I'm proud to share with all of you at this point of time that we have already made good beginning in research by bagging grants from Government of India, DST, DBT, SERB, and also University of Mumbai, worth rupees 2 crore in all. Also, research work guided by some of us have received national level and inter-university level recognitions. Very recently in Avishkar, that is Inter-College Research Convention, our college was awarded championship in pharmacy category and also championship in pure science category. And in the last year also, we maintained the same trend and we were overall champion in the Avishkar. Talking about some noticeable research grants, very recently we have got a grant from Government of Belgium, Vilayo, in collaboration with prestigious University of Strathclyde, UK. And right now this project is in progress under the guidance of our research advisor, Professor Nagar Sekar. We hope to achieve still greater heights under her guidance, and under her able leadership, we are having some research projects in alignment with the industry. Talking about other noticeable achievements, we have a research collaboration center with Procter & Gamble in our campus. Then our programs like campus to corporate transition of students, and an executive development program to train industrial pharmacy professionals, add-on courses in areas of regulatory affairs, pharmacovigilance, artificial intelligence, machine learning, are going on very well, and they are taken up well by the students and even the faculty or industry professionals. We also have very good practices. For instance, we very regularly and consistently conduct the meeting with parents. Once in every semester, we have regular dialogue with our alumni Then we also have Industrial Advisory Board and Departmental Advisory Board having good industry representation. And everything together has helped us to achieve good ranking in AICTE CII survey for best industry linked institution. In 2018, our college was ranked first at all India level through this survey. So as far as NIRF ranking is concerned, our college is started in 2007. And since the inception of NIRF, we have been always placed among top 75 institutions at all India level. And presently, our ranking is 63rd. So we are also motivated to work in the area of entrepreneurship and incubation. So our institution has its Institutions Innovation Council, and VES has set up incubation center for which they have got a dedicated 7-storied building, the construction for which is right now in full swing. And all VES are going to come together to incubate there and promote the culture of startup among our students of pharmacy, engineering, polytechnic, and management. Talking about today's event, everybody is aware that Ministry of Education has floated this week as the week of celebration of 1 year of launching of National Education Policy 2020. And through this week, through these webinars that are announced during this week, the educationists are being trained about various aspects of National Education Policy. So one of the important aspects is about entrepreneurship and innovation culture. We have a distinguished speaker, former director of ICT, a very recognized, nationally acclaimed figure, Professor M.M. Sharma, with us today. Thank you, sir, for your presence. And sir is going to enlighten us about this kind of research and entrepreneurship culture in the education through his vast experience of heading one of the best institutions, universities at national level, that is ICT. So without taking much of your time, I thank all of you for your presence for this particular program and showing confidence in us. I especially thank Professor Rajeshri Hirlekar Madam for taking initiative to organize this program as our IQAC coordinator. I once again thank Professor Sharma sir for his valuable time. Thank you and all the best. Over to you, Samiksha.
Thank you, ma'am, for your kind and encouraging words as always. National Education Policy, NEP 2020, is a transformational and empowering policy. Many of the countries in the world are looking at it with great enthusiasm and are likely to follow suit. Honorable Prime Minister of India has been constantly taking the nation forward towards it. Transformative reforms under National Education Policy, NEP 2020, have completed 1 year on 29th August 2021. In this context, AICTE has organized a series of webinars from 30th July to 9th August 2021. Today's webinar, which was held in the morning session, highlighted about skill, employability, entrepreneurship, and employment challenges. In alignment with AICTE initiative, IIC Westcop, in collaboration with IQAC, has organized a lecture series on the theme, Innovative Disruption in Academia. Today's webinar is an inaugural session on the topic, Innovations in Academic Research for Promotion of Entrepreneurship. It's an honor and privilege to have among us a legendary stalwart, Padma Vibhushan Professor M.M. Sharma sir as the resource person. I now request our IQAC coordinator and HOD of Pharmaceutics, who happens to be a proud alumnus of Institute of Chemical Technology during Professor Sharma sir's tenure, Professor Rajeshri Hirlekar ma'am, to introduce Professor M.M. Sharma sir.
Madam, please unmute yourself. You are muted.
Thank you, Samiksha. It is my honor to introduce Professor M.M. Sharma sir. Sir obtained Bachelor of Chemical Engineering in 1958 from Bombay University and subsequently MSc Tech in 1960. He obtained PhD in Chemical Engineering in 1964 at Cambridge University. And in 1964, he returned to India as a professor at the University of Bombay and later became director of the University Department of Chemical Technology, then known as UDCT and now as ICT, Institute of Chemical Technology, a deemed university. He remained director UICT for 33 years. He has been honored by several universities, including IITs, by honorary doctorates. He has to his credit many medals, Vishwakarma Medal and Meghnad Saha Medal being prominent ones. He also became an independent editor of chemical engineering science at a young age. He taught different subjects in chemical engineering and encouraged his doctoral students from the very beginning to publish independently their work in renowned journals. He mentored 71 PhD students and was an active consultant to industry. Under his stewardship, UICT got autonomy of UGC. He brought about all-round improvement in all the departments of the institute, leading to exceptionally high number of PhDs each year. He served in petroleum and natural gas as a chairman of SAC and in the SAC to cabinet and prime minister. He was INSA council member and vice president. Professor Sharma is a recipient of a number of prestigious academic honors and awards, including S.S. Bhatnagar Prize in Engineering Sciences, Moulton Medal of Institution of Chemical Engineers, and Luke Leverhulme Medal of Royal Society. He was awarded the Padma Vibhushan in 2001 and Padma Bhushan in 1987 by President of India. He was INSA President. He is a Fellow of Indian Academy of Science, Bangalore, Honorary Fellow of National Academy of Science, Allahabad, Fellow of Royal Society, London. Sir was also elected as an Honorary Fellow by the Royal Academy of Engineering and is Foreign Associate of the US National Academy of Engineering. This is really the brief summary about Sir's achievements. This is what he says about himself. As a consultant to the chemical process industry, since the past more than 50 years, I know how to make money. However, the true joy for me comes out of the idea which has worked rather than the check I received. I have been very much fortunate enough to pursue my education at UDCT during Sir's tenure. Thank you, sir, for honoring us by being the keynote speaker for the lectures. Thank you very much, sir. Over to you, Samiksha.
Thank you, ma'am. I know we all are eager to hear from our guests. So without any further delay, we'll start the session. I now request Professor M.M. Sharma, sir, to address the audience. I also request the audience to post their questions in the chat box during the session. We'll have a Q&A session in the end. Thank you.
Dear faculty members, dear students, the trustee, Sri Bulani, ladies and gentlemen, this topic is quite close to my heart. Are you able to hear me properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know, this word innovation is rather being used very loosely. To be little pedantic, see, invention refers to any new idea that works. And when invention is converted to something profitable, it is innovation. So if we say that we have done innovation, it means it has had a practical use. Since you are more concerned with the academics going in for entrepreneurship through innovations, I need to tell you something about what are the traits of academic research. The main contribution from academic research comes through PhD program. That's what I asked right in the beginning. How many full-time PhD students you have? If you want to march further in this area, you must work on getting full-time PhD students. And I'll explain to you why. Because at M.Pharm level, you are able to only devote limited time for research, and it's most unlikely to lead to something innovative. It may do something, may germinate some idea. Why is academic research acclaimed all over the world? Why PhD program in universities, institutes is so very important? There are many reasons for this. First is no research is as economic as academic research. You'll say why? You know, PhD students work for more than 75 hours a week. You look at how many hours they work in industry, then you will see the big difference. They don't recognize any holiday. There is nothing like holiday for them. They work tirelessly. More important, we in the academia have what I call spiritual freedom. We are free to pursue original ideas based on curiosity. Remember, most of the innovations in the world have come out of curiosity. And some have come through serendipity, about which I'll make a reference a short while from now. But let me first sing praises about academic research in which I was involved all my life. And today, of course, I support research in industry because I decided not to have any further formal association with my institution of lifetime, because I didn't want to be in the building around to have any influence on my successors. Although I could have got INSAF highly prestigious professorship, I didn't take it. Now, this trait of being able to work hard and there is no management pressure. Please bear in mind, in industry, they want certainty. The place for absolute original ideas in Indian chemical industry, pharma industry, most of the breakthroughs that we have got in India for the pharma industry, which has done remarkably well, because today we have more than 8 companies which have a turnover of more than $1 billion per annum. But we are yet to come out with any NCE. We are yet to come out with something very original in formulation engineering. We have yet to come out with any of the excipients. In fact, most of the excipients that we use in India are imported. Now, I repeat that if you want to make an impact on entrepreneurship through innovation, it will have to be through PhD program. And therefore, first endeavor of yours should be to enlist more and more. What is your total faculty strength? I don't know. Total faculty strength must be something like 14, 15. What is your faculty strength in pharmacy? What is the fact?
It is a 15:1 ratio. So for 100 intake, 23 is required number.
You have that. Now, I would suggest that you look for, in the very next year or two, minimum, to start with minimum 5 full-time PhD students. Within next 3 years, you must have 10 full-time PhD students. I mentioned this with my hardcore experience. Please bear in mind, in 1964, when I became professor, not a single PhD in chemical engineering had come out of the renowned UDCT. And I took to myself that if I have to make some contribution, it will have to be through a PhD program. And very soon, we were turning out, the first PhD of mine who came out in 1967, went to America, became an entrepreneur. Believe me, he's an entrepreneur and he was controlling $1 billion business. I'll also make a reference to how many other students whose PhD-based program and their independent thinking led to becoming entrepreneurs. So, first and foremost suggestion to you is to strengthen your PhD program. We found that without strengthening PhD program, we will not be able to make a dent. I also say that since our primary responsibility is teaching, now teaching without research is sterile. And research and teaching have a combo effect of very great magnitude. So research is essential for any quality teaching. MPharm level research is okay, but not sufficient to have that kind of in-depth without the flourishing PhD program. Yeah, existing faculty members doing PhD is very welcome. I have no problem. But they can only devote part of their time, and their motivation is of a different kind, so that they can become associate professor or professor later on. But full-time PhD students is what is really needed. Now, what are the ingredients to make somebody entrepreneur? Curiosity, persistence, tenacity. And I have a very simple word. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to have a panoramic view of what you are going to do, by which I mean not only the science and technology of what you are doing, but right from financial matters to marketing. Then only you can be a successful entrepreneur. You can't be an entrepreneur just because you got a brilliant idea and that you think it is something which will churn up some money. That doesn't happen. If you don't have that panoramic view as an entrepreneur, you will not succeed. In all probability, you will not succeed. So let me take you to renowned places in the world to inspire you to see how faculty members, some of whom we became Nobel laureates. So I take you back long ago, S.C. Brown, whose boron chemistry everybody knew. And he started a company commercializing things on boron chemistry. Grubbs, who did outstanding work on metathesis, got Nobel Prize. No, metathesis is something very interesting. I always call it cheaping, cleaving the, cleaving and joining molecules. And today, metathesis is a big application even in pharma industry. Grubbs has a separate company where novel catalysts for metathesis is being commercially sold. Langer in MIT, how many patents he has, how many companies he has. Those of you who are familiar with homogeneous catalysis, Wilkinson, who got Nobel Prize, that homogeneous catalyst led to entrepreneurship. A person in Imperial College, chemical engineer, who does a lot of work on membrane separations, including nanofiltration. Please bear in mind, Indian pharmaceutical industry has still not learned all the efficacy of nanofiltration. I've had some success with pharma industry. This person was able to develop membranes which could stand polar molecules like dimethyl formamide, and he has a separate company making. So the whole concept in the very established university, Oxford has Oxford Asymmetry, Cambridge has its own branch from chemistry and chemical engineering to do. So academics have proven their merit all around the world. You will ask, what is the scene? Let me come back to my mother institution. We have a very unusual DNA, which is not common. Our insistence is first and foremost responsibility of yours is to take teaching very seriously. 2, you must do high-class research. Now, what do I mean by high-class research? How is high-class research defined? That you must publish your papers in very renowned journals. And today, of course, you have a measurement for them with indexes and all that. And then deliver in the marketplace. So I'll tell you, for example, in mid-70s, my former student and later on the Vice Chancellor of ICT, G.D. Yadav, he was the first person in India to work on phase transfer catalysis. Your medicinal chemistry people will know something more about it. Not by organic chemists in India. We were the first one. And before the first paper was published in a renowned journal, we had already commercialized in industrial application. And we had an unusual application of using phase transfer catalysis for recovering chemicals from waste stream like phenolic substances from the waste streams. If we took up the work on cation ion exchange resins as catalysts be published in the best journal, Reactive and Functional Polymers. In fact, I even became one of the editors. And we delivered this in industry. If you take equipment-oriented research, the present Vice Chancellor, Pandit, he has commercialized his very, very erudite papers on cavitation into industrial practice, whether it is for crystallization or whether it's for wastewater treatment. J.B. Joshi, who did PhD work with me on gas-inducing impellers, you will be surprised that majority of hydrogenators in India are based on the design originally done in ICT, further on modified, perfected by J.B. Joshi. And very large, of course, then copycat fellows come up and they will claim in an immoral way that they came out with. So it is, many times when people think that high-class research cannot have these twin ideals that you publish in the most renowned journals of the world, at the same time deliver in the market. Whatever work we did, sometimes on very difficult separations, also was published in the best journals and used in industry. Now, consultancy is another form of entrepreneurship. I say this with some moral authority because it's now close to 25 years since I superannuated from UD-City, and I make a reasonably good living, far better than the salary I ever had in even at the end of my career in UD-City. But because of what? It is entirely because of the academic background, academic research, and this twin, that one foot in the academia by way of erudite lectures in international audiences, publications in the renowned journals, and delivery in the marketplace. I've given you illustrations of how academics throughout the world have been able to take the example of ETH in Switzerland, the kind of work they have done, and because of their close association with former Ciba. As you know, Ciba in pharmaceutical industry came out with so many products. In fact, some of the items so popular in India, they were invented by Ciba, like diclofenac, Bevorin. Although the oral part is not favored, but the creams are exceptionally triclosan. Now, these were all Ciba. Ciba also had many, even Dapsone was Ciba inventions. Now, the ETH and other universities in Switzerland had always very close link with industry. Now, the links with the industry can be only on reciprocity. What are the problems I have seen? Because I've had association with, I was chairman of IIT Madras Board of Governors. I was chairman of the Apex Committee of the All India Committee for the IITs. So I dealt with, if academics have a snobbish attitude that I know, what does this industry person know? It will be a disaster. You must respect the knowledge. Now today, pharma industry in India, you look at the number of PhDs who are working in the R&D labs of pharma companies, whether it's Reddy's Laboratory or Lupin or Aurobindo, or that will tell you that their competence is of such a high level that I had to tell the then previous director of CDRI, with whom I had very good relationship. In fact, one of the early directors who was a director for many years, Nityanand, was our PhD, with a second PhD from Cambridge. I said, today, you are no longer in that area of supremacy of doing things or having facility. Industry has today extraordinary facility. I'm amazed. You must be knowing the recent past, when you talk of sometimes there are innovations required even in analytical procedures. you do know this whole business of the impurity level in valsartan and all, where you are talking of the dimethylamine based, nitrosamine based, which is not acceptable at parts per billion. No, we are not talking of parts per million. Now, even analysis is a challenge. So many times people think that analytical services are an analytical work like services. No, even analytical work can be so innovative as to put you in supremacy in relation to your competitors. Please don't underestimate the importance of analytical chemistry, and more so in the context of pharmaceutical industry. I want to just change my presentation in a slightly different way to tell you how serendipity has played a big role. And I go back to the initial part of penicillin and Fleming's work. And there have been innumerable instances in pharma industry as well as chemical industry in all. Now, Viagra is another classic example. But many people do not know that even insulin and anesthesia, anesthetic agents, were also out of serendipity. But keep in mind, serendipity never strikes uninitiated persons. Serendipity always works with highly accomplished person who are observant. Why I'm mentioning this and why I'm linking this to the academic world. When you are in your PhD program and you find a very unusual result, that path may become far more important than the original path that you had charted for yourself, because it may turn out to be far more interesting and rewarding. So serendipitous discovery, now many common items in today's use, people do not know that they were serendipitous. Low density polyethylene, cellulose nitrate, high density polyethylene, all these are examples. But I was specifically referring to the pharma industry itself, how serendipitous discoveries have made such a big difference. Viagra was made for something else, and where it is used. You are finding now new examples how many HIV drugs are being used. Now, how research at the international level, partly academic. In this context, I want to tell you something. There is a famous statement that genius prefers homogeneity of individual rather than the heterogeneity of groups. I repeat, genius prefers homogeneity of individual rather than heterogeneity of groups. That's where the academics stand out. With no management pressure, no pressure that you must have. See, results of research are rarely known in advance. Otherwise, it's repetitive research. I'm not referring to repetitive research. Something somebody has done and you repeat, reverse engineering. That is not. It may lead you to entrepreneurship. Sure, and people are making many intermediates for APIs, and even APIs. The small volume, the high price APIs are being made by many entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship level in India is very high in this sector. At least 7 or 8 of my PhD students became, after working for some time, and they became entrepreneurs. 2 or 3 of them relate to pharma industry. So the preference of the genius for the homogeneity of an individual, how does it matter? See, to become an entrepreneur, I told you earlier, you need panoramic view. You need crazy individuals, fire in the belly. You don't become entrepreneur just like that. For example, I don't have that kind of, I can't be an entrepreneur. I can give ideas, and I do give ideas and make a and people make money out of it, sometimes a lot of money out of it. But to become an entrepreneur, you need that panoramic view, that kind of attitude that I want to run a business. It's a different matter. In fact, many of you may not know that out of my academic research in a holy place like Cambridge, and in those days in 1963, 64, the question of doing something, I had an original idea in my PhD work, all on my own initiative. And I was helped to take a preliminary patent. And would you believe I sold that idea based on my PhD work to the most renowned company in the world, Shell, and got a packet of money just before I was returning to India. So please don't underestimate. In academia, you are capable of generating very original ideas because we don't have management pressure. Our pressure is that our work should be original. And fortunately, even if you get negative results, they find a place in publication because you are able to give a cogent explanation why this particular route didn't work. In this context, I must tell you that we are very weak in India in medicinal chemistry. And there are areas where it is possible to come out with the lowest cost. Somehow, after the initial success of Ranbaxy, we haven't succeeded in any admirable way of formulation engineering or formulation technology. Microemulsion difference. But have we come out with any real original formulation which was sold to renowned companies in the world? We are able to come to a candidate molecule which goes through phase 1. Some peter out at phase 1, some peter out at phase 2. As of now, not a single molecule in the global context has now. In US, they are now saying the cost of a new NNC is now $1.2 billion. The cost in India will be far much lower. The companies are trying, but I'm trying to link this to academia. Let me tell you something which came in the financial magazines, that why so many entrepreneurs in US, this was with reference to in the whole area of biotechnology, many of them did not succeed because these people did not have links to academic institutions to get bright ideas. And once again, I want to emphasize the role of individuals. You know that Gilead made tons of money for hepatitis C drug. It was not their invention. It came from Pharmasec. And there was a crazy individual there who conceived this. So never underestimate what can be done by crazy individuals. Sometimes I feel we academics are also crazy individuals. I consider myself a crazy individual because if I took up academic job, quarter of my salary in Bombay itself, I must be somewhat crazy because I had this love to teach and bring up people. So there are many things that we need to take into consideration if you want what innovations you want to leading to in entrepreneurship. I have attempted to give ingredients that will allow. Foremost of that is, unless you have a thriving PhD program, the chances of doing this will not be bright. The chances will become brighter if you support very actively. And often, sometimes with support from industry. See, industry people will not take up risky things. I'll tell you the psychology of people who work. Now, I've been consultant for more than 50 years. There are peculiar problems in India. If you suggest an idea which is not practiced anywhere in the world, the management reaction when you say something, say, is anybody doing this in the world? I say, no. What is your problem? I'm pretty blunt. I don't care because I can kick off any consultancy anytime I want because I don't depend on it. I said, how does it bother? Tell me, why don't you comment on what I've said rather than asking that stupid question? I mean, I'm told in front of management statement like this, don't ask me stupid questions, just comment on what I've said. You need guts for that. The problem is to bring in something very original. You have to be a missionary. You have to sell that idea with facts and figures. I'll tell you some instances. I've known some academics telling me, I'll not name the persons. One was from within UDCT and one was from NCL. I'll not name the. Say, I've got a revolutionary route for such and such antibiotic. I said, fine. Now, why I'm mentioning this is perception about organic chemist versus what is the reality. I said, let's sit together. I'm willing to be an agent for change for you. And I proved to him that this route is far more expensive than the existing route. Then he said, oh, I can make some further. I said, no, your difference is not that marginal. You are talking of so-called revolutionary process. It will be a disaster for industry if they were to adopt. Something similar happened for a very nice, accomplished organic chemist in NCL. And he said, oh, he has got something very original. I said, did you realize the hazard of using these reagents and all that? You get the reaction calorimetry done. Behold, he got it done and he found out the runaway conditions, dangerous conditions. Why I'm mentioning all this? When you get an idea, please be alert in terms of how it will function when it is adopted in industry. So I have succeeded to some extent in impressing upon people in pharma industry that you cannot have a development process, what I call in series. It has to be in parallel. So what is the nearest example I can? No relay exercise, but rowing. You know, in a boat, all have to pull together. Whereas relay, you go, hand over your stick to the next person and go. So what they will show, oh, my organic chemist has done this with no interaction with chemical technologists or chemical engineer. And they find that there was hazardous conditions, too high a dilution, solvent recovery was a big problem. So to become an entrepreneur, I repeated earlier and I'm repeating again, that entrepreneurship person must have a panoramic view because everything matters, including safety. If you are using hazardous solvents, you must make sure. So it's not just only chemistry that is going to make you entrepreneur or your expertise in formulation or your. I'll tell you one great area of weakness in pharma industry. Most of your products are crystallized. And the knowledge bank in this area is hopeless. I've had tackled many problems myself, but I try to tell them that, look, you need to learn. It's okay for me to solve, but I'm not satisfied with that. I want you people to think why it is. So it's like saying, no, I dramatize by saying, plant has been put up, investment is right, analysis of your API is fine. It's not sellable. Why? The product size distribution is not right. Bulk density, I can tell you one antibiotic whose bulk density was only 0.4 and it was not sellable or partially sellable. It had to be boosted to 0.6 or 0.65. It was done. But what kind of expert, if you see the global literature today, hardly anybody in pharma industry is doing any work on crystallization. When it is so vital in the pharma industry. So I can keep on giving you examples after examples where the academic research coupled with inputs from industry, the kind of entrepreneurship skill by way of panoramic view can lead to great success. Everybody talks, you must have interaction with industry. And people come and give erudite lectures without having ever interacted with industry. They have become puerile. You have to practice this to be able to. I'm glad that you have had some interaction, but please intensify your interactions. You mutually beneficial, but there must be give and take. I can go on and on, tell you many things. Entrepreneurship is highly desirable, but it is not the trait of most individuals to be entrepreneur. If you take example of a former student, Karda, he was a crazy individual. And he said, oh, I made big money in novel technologies. In fact, one of the technology developed, Bayer had to copy. He said, I made the money. If I now develop an original process, doesn't make money, it doesn't matter. I made the money, let the money go. But I've had the great satisfaction of of coming out with some very novel route, non-frozen route for one agrochemical and all. There is very little interaction between agrochemical industry and pharmaceutical when there is a lot in common. Conazoles and all, they have commonality between agro as well as pharmaceutical industry. So my dear fellow teachers, fellow faculty member, dear students, management of Vivekananda College of Pharmacy, I once again express my appreciation for you inviting me to give this talk. I was impressed with what kind of things you are doing. But I've been forthright in telling you what will make a success of persons becoming from academic research entrepreneurs. Thank you. Thank you. My presentation is over.
Yeah.
I want to stick to my time.
Sir, it was excellent presentation. Your thoughts were really very much enlightening, and you have made it very clear that academic research needs to have that panoramic view so that you can also think of its commercial viability, its application, and that is how great ideas can be converted into a sustainable business. So this is the key message that we all have received, and may it be crystallization or may it be a filtration, anywhere when you have a novel idea that can have great application in the industry. And we need not be worried about lot of funds or so. Your one novel idea can also trigger to a great development. And definitely, sir, you have also insisted on having full-time PhD scholars, because these full-time scholars would be dedicating their time over longer time for that innovation, and we will definitely take this advice very seriously, sir. And over to my moderator. Let us answer the questions and answers of our delegates. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir, for your insightful and interactive session. The forum is now open for discussion, and I request Vice President and HOD of Quality Assurance, Dr. Anita Aire, ma'am, to take over the question and answer session.
Good evening to one and all once again. Sir, the first question is from our own faculty, Dr. Mushtaq Sheikh, sir, that these days we have observed that students do not opt for chemistry subjects for higher studies. And at VS College of Pharmacy, we have taken this as a mission to change the scenario by having many in-class and many interesting activities, which will boost the interest of students in the subject of chemistry. But can you suggest something which we can do so that the students are further motivated to take up chemistry as a research subject?
I did mention to you that country as a whole is weak in medicinal chemistry. And that requires a very sound background of organic chemistry. And the way to make it enjoyable is to show the charm of the chemistry in transforming molecules. The kind of transformations which you do are like miracles. Just to excite the students, seeing that what we can do. And that apart from the charm of how molecules are turned around, like you have optically active molecule versus racemic molecule. What are the big differences between the two? If I take optically active menthol, put on my tongue, the cooling effect is radically different from the racemic material. You know, famous case of how a racemic drug created problem you had to use. And today FDA has a requirement that the molecules, if they are racemic, won't do. You have to give efficacy of the optically active isomers. And that is a mandatory requirement now. So to make the subject exciting, that's the very role of the teacher. The role of teacher is to, I remember giving a talk when this course in industrial chemistry was introduced at the BS of UGC. And I remember going to the college in South Bombay, not Jain, the other one. And I explained to them what is the charm in teaching industrial chemistry and by examples. So I did not tell you anything that was standalone. I gave you practical linkages. If I said that my research led to industrial application, I gave concrete instances and not dry. So how to inculcate this lack of chemistry, even for pharmacy students, can be very detrimental. Because after all the molecules that you are making requires, and how does the impurity profile? Why did the impurity come? If nitrosamine came, if you don't understand the chemistry, you'll never know how the nitrosamine came. So losartan will not sell. You have made it, but no, it is not sellable. Or valsartan is not sellable because your nitrosamine levels are much higher. And this is also a way to fight the competition, to publicize that my product has such and such impurity profile, not the purity profile. That doesn't matter. Impurity profile is what you have to highlight. These are all chemistry, you know. See, this is a problem not only with pharmacy, it's problem with chemical engineers also. They're not taking enough lessons in chemistry, although the name is chemical engineer, you know.
Okay, thank you, sir. The second question is from Mr. Payambura. He asked that could you enlist few areas of pharmacy where research and entrepreneurship is actually need of the hour?
I gave you, why you are asking me, because in my talk I talked to you about formulation engineering, I talked to you about excipients, I talked to you about crystalline forms, how you can, known molecule, you can study very, the question is you need background, because normally pharmacy people have hardly any lesson but the name in crystallization. Today, you know, the way crystallization being studied, if you read some papers, you know how Raman spectroscopy and online measurements are being done, how nucleation is taking place and all, which finally affects, if all the APIs are crystalline material, you can come out with an innovative crystallization. Doesn't require much cost. See, in academia, we have to always talk about doing research with ideas. What matters is ideas, not preponderance of facilities. They are required, but more important, the ideas. And that comes from extensive reading. The reading habits, in spite of availability of internet and in spite Xerox facility, I regret to say the reading habits have gone down. I am 84, I still read for many hours every day. Otherwise, in no time you go fossil. The subjects are changing so far. When I first suggested nanofiltration in one of the Prills manufacturer, I was not taken seriously. 3 years later, exactly on the same idea, GSK came out with a patent. I said, now look, you guys, you didn't listen to me. Here is the GSK patent, which they had not read. I said, here is the GSK patent, exactly what I had said.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot and for providing an insightful session. Thank you once again. So over to you, Samiksha, for conclusion of the session.
The IIC team of PES College of Pharmacy is very dynamic, and since past 4 years, we have been organizing many events and activities to foster and nurture the culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. Recently, our IIC team had conducted a quiz on 2 important initiatives of MHRD Government of India, that is NEP and NISP. Through this forum, we would like to announce the winner of the quiz competition. I request Professor Sharma sir to announce the winner.
How do I announce? I don't.
Sir, could you please read the name that is given on the screen?
Certificate of Excellence. This is to certify that Moise Dombare Ayushi. Oh, very good name, you know, Ayushi. You know, very closely linked to your pharmaceutical industry in the phonetic form, you know. Well, congratulations. First prize at NEP and NISP quiz organized by Institute Innovation Council of Westcop on 24th July 21. Congratulations. Is she around? Is Ayushi around?
Oh, yes, sir.
Where is she?
Sir, your
Ayushi, please
One
put on
second.
your video.
1 second, ma'am.
I'd like to congratulate her if she can come on the screen.
Host, please spotlight Ayushi so that sir can see her.
I'm not able to see her as yet.
Yes, Ayushi, congratulations.
Oh, you are the
Thank
winner.
you so much, sir.
Congratulations to you. Keep up.
Thank you so much, sir.
More original ideas. Don't blush. Just keep working hard. You know, I told you that
Sure.
curiosity, diligence. They are the two minimum requirement for coming out with innovations. Curiosity, persistence, diligence, and never be afraid. You know, failures are harbingers of success. If I give you one example, you will laugh. Everybody sees PET bottle. Mr. Wyeth, nothing to do with Wyeth Industry in DuPont, had 10,000 failures in coming out with a formulation to make. Today, world makes 60 billion PET bottles. So, you know, failures are part, and we must learn from failures. And the problem in India is we have no appetite to own failures. Nobody owns failures, and that is one of the serious bottleneck in coming out with innovation. It's a peculiar problem in India. Nobody wants to own a failure. They will gloss it over. Good luck. Do PhD, huh? Or are you M.Pharm or
Yes, sir. Sir, B Farm.
B.Pharm? No, not
Yeah.
B.Pharm, not only M.Pharm, but do PhD
Yes, sir, for sure.
for full-time student. Okay? Best of luck.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your kind words.
Is another award, or this is just the only award?
This is just internal award, sir,
Okay.
our own event.
Okay.
In fact, I would take take permission from our host to now give a platform to our founder trustee, Shri B.L. Bulani ji, who is also with us, and Professor Sharma has spoken about plastic industry and PET bottles. So I must welcome Bulani ji, who is also entrepreneur. In 1949, he launched his first venture in plastic blow molding under the banner of Bulani Engineering Corporation. Those days, plastic industry was unheard of. There was only railway industry and mills, textile mills. But he dared to venture into this particular new area, though he was BA honors by qualification. He did lot of reading, and with his extensive reading and application mind, now in his company they are fabricating extruder, twin screw hot melt extruders, and very recently they fabricated the one for Cipla. So because Shri Bulani sir is with us, I would request sir to please address the audience with your experience in innovation. Over to you, sir.
You know, you don't need formal degrees to come out with innovation. The best example in the world is Michael Faraday. He had no formal education. And when he was showing a demonstration of electricity to the Chancellor of Exchequer, what we call finance minister, the finance minister said, Michael, so all this good, what good it is? You know what was his reply? Sir, before long you will tax it. When electricity becomes commercial, they will tax it. So he says, sir, my lord, you will tax it very soon. So, you know, there's no barriers. You know, if you have the ingenuity, you don't need formal qualification. Formal qualification is easier to, but I know many people who became experts in certain areas, you know, in the genetics and all, you know, Meko, Mr. Barwale had no background of genetics, but he could give an erudite talk on genetics and has a 70 crore R&D center in Jalna for seeds and all. Mr. Bulani.
Sir, over to you, sir. Would you please enjoy your video? Your video is not visible, sir.
Am I audible?
Sir, you are audible, but you are not visible. I think your
I
bandwidth.
know.
We can hear you, but we
No,
can hear
I
you.
would at the outset, I would like to thank and pay my regards to Professor Sharma for having accepted our invitation to address on this subject of research innovation to our pharmacy college, which is amongst the old colleges, is one of the latest college. We are hardly covering about 15 years. And from the very beginning, when we started the college, the purpose was to really see that what quality of education that we give, the students coming out should really be satisfied that they have really learned and they are able to apply their knowledge in a very, very productive way. So that will give them better employment opportunities. But then you see, now, today, things are changing fast. Science and technology, both are joining together to make science more workable, more productive, and technology to take the things far. Under these circumstances, the advice that Professor Sharma has given is very valid. Research means quality publications by the teachers, by the even the students who are having the aptitude for the research. And unless we do that, we will not be entering into the field of research, which, according to me, still in India, we are lacking. Another thing that has come to my knowledge, that new education policy, again, has been now, and many of the universities have started adopting to that. I would like, what is the experience of our Honorable Professor Sharma when our university in Mumbai, that is Mumbai University, will adopt new education policy so that the fruits which we are likely to get from the new education policy can be really start giving us the benefit. And second important thing, I would like to request him, because he has been associated with the polymer industry, where he had a lot of collaboration with the industry, and he has done a lot of work for the industry to give them ideas for the near future, what to manufacture, which are the items which will be used. All these things he has done it, and for that he has been rewarded, awarded, we know it. I would like to really request him to how to attract pharmacy industries to be collaborative with academia. This is my biggest problem. We have companies coming for smaller projects, but we want that they should really come forward and they say that academia will be playing a very important role if science and technology has been combined, because many of the companies recently also, I went through the interview of the 10 executives saying that if we have to pay attention to the research innovation and digitalization, then in that case, we must have collaborative partnership with the academia. Now, how far they will be doing, God only knows, but perhaps our Honorable Sharma can give us a little bit of light on that subject. Thank you.
Mr. Bulani, I think one of your relatives, I met him in polymer meetings.
Yeah.
I think is he your son or brother, or I met him in some of these polymer meetings in Plast India meeting or in the Indian Plastic Institute, or I met Mr. Bulani. I'm not you, but I don't think I met you, but I met Mr. Bulani in some.
I am the senior Bulani.
I know you're the senior most maybe.
That's true. And age is 93.
I'm saying, I think your son or somebody whom I met, they know me. Because I've had this long association
number of times.
with poly. I've given many talks in the Indian Plastic Institute and others. One of the things which I talked about, which they widely circulated, plastics in the everyday life and how important and crucial are plastic. Today, you see the merit of this in connection with all the COVID program. Imagine if the polypropylene was not available, what would have happened to the dealing with the COVID patients and all, whether it is your protective garment or you take in generic polymer, the gloves and all, It's a very interesting, people don't realize how critical the polymers are in everyday, but just for your interest, I must tell you, there are two drugs which are polymers. They are called drugs. The drug which is used for the phosphorus overload is interestingly polyalamine cross-linked with epichlorohydrin, Salvamar. And for potassium overload, it is polystyrene sulfonic acid. Now they are really polymer, but FDA requirements for characterizing these are so elaborate that you will be really surprised to find out what kind of data they want. Superficially, they look simple, but they're not. Those polymers have to have a well-defined conformation and all that. But I'm just giving an example of two polymeric substances which are widely used as drugs. As regard the point that you raised about, see, it has to, I'll explain to you how I dealt with it. Better to give live example. There was practically no market for PhDs in chemical engineering in Indian chemical industry because all of them were with imported and they were foreign partners and they will not, like Union Carbide, ICI, they will not entertain. So I went door to door at two levels with the managing director as well as the chief of the unit. And I explained to them how PhDs will make a difference to you in your development program, getting more out of existing assets, coming out with newer products, specialty products. And in the next 4 or 5 years, we were able to make a dent of a kind that the demand was so much that we could meet the demand. So it is give and take. It doesn't happen by itself. You want to interact with industry, you have to take initiative. You would have expected industry to take initiative. The industry people, less said the better. They think they know everything. I can give you many hilarious examples of my interaction with industry. I happened to go to one very renowned industry and they thought what this bloke is going to tell us, we know everything. So I quietly listened to them. Then I raised 2 or 3 questions. They were completely floored. They couldn't answer. And I told them, now how I can improve your existing thing, I'll now explain to you. And you challenge me. So it is this interact. You have to convince them you have something to contribute. So it is not as a charity. It has to be that I have this expertise on formulation, or I have this expertise on crystallization, or I have this thing in the medicinal chemistry, which will benefit you for this is the improvement possibly I can make in your API. Whatever it is, For example, I can give you for pediatric formulation in microemulsion, and then working with them, you will be able to come to. But
Yeah.
if you go with snobbish attitude, as many industry people come with very sort of, what will you contribute? Now, take for example, structure, activity relationship. Now, academics were well suited.
Very true.
There was so much talk about designing molecules, partial success. But today, artificial intelligence, I would strongly recommend to the pharmacy people, somebody to take expertise in artificial intelligence. Is going to make quite a bit of difference to the new drug discovery.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Bulani, it's nice of you to really
No, you see, because
support this
I mean,
program.
all and in fact, I really get reminded that while I have done something having not proper qualification, but then the effort, the vision, the purpose, the perseverance required is the same. And that is exactly is the lesson of today's talk.
You know, Bipin Shah, no, my former student, he was very innovative in terms of coming out with the packaging thing. But in terms of the real entrepreneurship, what I mentioned earlier, that you need a panoramic view. So he was very successful in doing this, but not very successful as a businessman.
True.
To be successful in businessman, I keep on repeating, you need panoramic view. You need innovation even in marketing.
No, but you see, your role has been entirely what the normal scientists, technologists in the world have done it. Your contribution, I know it personally, is very high to the polymer industry. I know it.
See, in the beginning, when people wanted to go for large capacity, I was on the founder board of IPCL. Believe me, 80,000 tons of LDPE, which we have to come out with, the so-called industry experts in Bombay, they thought that IPCL is going mad. I told them, you guys have no perception. When these plants come, they will have nothing to sell. And exactly that happened. Similarly, CAFE, when it came out with polyester fiber, 3,500 ton per annum capacity, I said, you guys, you may be inventor, but you don't know what the market is. Market in India is not what British people understand. The major market of polyester in India is in saris.
Yeah.
The British don't understand. They only understand worsted. So you are all on wrong path. Before another 4 or 5 years, you will be grounded. And exactly it happened. And they laughed at me, saying, oh, what are you saying? I said, I'll prove myself to be right. And I had my day. I took them on head on. I said, what did I tell you 3-4 years ago? So, you know, these people who had vision to go for real large capacity with the most modern technology in the shortest possible time. But it's one thing to buy technology. Another thing is to improve. There is a famous saying of the chief of Exxon. You can always buy technology, but remember it is second hand. And unless you work on it, it will become third hand. And many times our great guys in Delhi will say, this can be imported without understanding the norms of you in your own industry. You know, people who put up these expensive plants to make these plastic tanks like what Syntex, you know, how people in Mulund was the real home for people who came out with innovative technology with low capital investment to make those barrels and tanks, overhead tanks and all. And they were available. They could fight with the renowned companies. So innovation is of various kinds. You have yourself proved it, no, that you were able to do things, but it wouldn't have happened if you didn't have the grit and persistence. I'm sure in the beginning you must have worked hard and persisted, then only you succeeded. Okay.
Sir, you said it rightly, because Bulani sir is a live example about perseverance and working with a lot of efforts, putting in 100% efforts and making pioneering efforts in the plastic blow molding industry. And this is a very well taken point by today's dignitaries yourself and Mulani sir, that what is important is your sincere efforts, the idea which is innovative, and also thinking about innovation even in the marketing. So that panoramic view, which is well said and well received by all of us as audience. And with this now, we are coming to the conclusion of today's deliberation by Honorable Professor Sharma. And I'm very sure that each one of us will be inspired to do something innovative. We have very well understood the difference between invention and innovation. So we need to continuously think about its practical application, and that too in a viable fashion. So thank you very much, sir, for your presence, your valuable time with us, and your guidance. Thank you very much.
Remember, the utilitarian part of research invigorates the intensity of fundamental work. It is contrary to what people think. Real problems are far more challenging than artificial problems. Can I leave now? Can I leave?
Just a minute. Anita, madam, over to you.
Yes. So now to conclude the session, I request Professor Dr. Mushtaq Sheikh sir to propose the vote of thanks. Sir, we will just take a few minutes. Please stay with us for next few minutes.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Honorable Chief Guest, sir, Professor M.M. Sharma, respected Shri B.L. Bulanji, respected Professor Jharna Das, madam, respected Principal Dr. Supriya Shidhai, madam, other respected guests, faculty member, participant of this event, and yes, of course, dear student. First and foremost, I'm obliged to get this opportunity to pay the vote of thanks in this at this auspicious occasion of inaugural event of this guest lecture series, which we are starting with our IISc. I'd like to begin with our deep regards for management of ESCOP, and especially the motivation and support which we get from Shri B.L. Bulani ji, the trustee in charge of ESCOP, and our coordinator, madam, Professor Jharna Das, madam, and of course, Principal, madam, who had been always motivating us. Management of ESCOP has been always supporting us on various platforms. Madam mentioned that they have provided with us kind of industry advisory board, as well as they have provided with us research advisor, and one of the advisor, Dr. Anil Kumar Gandhi, who had been guiding us on IISc and NISP policies, and we are really grateful to him. The IISc team is really grateful to our QSC coordinator, Professor Rajshri Lekar, madam, who had been behind this meticulous planning of this event and made it a success. The contribution from Dr. Anita Aire is also worth admiring. I will congratulate the innovation team of IC4 of WESCOP for successfully conducting this event. My sincere regards to you, Professor Sharma sir, for accepting our invitation to act as a chief guest for this event and speaker, and also blessing this event with your wisdom and experience. It was a genuine pleasure, sir, and it is our paramount privilege to have you on here. Sir, there are lots of messages we are taking home today evening, and this event will be on our minds for a very long time. We have taken still one step to make it still more memorable. The WESCOP has planted one sapling at our medicinal garden in your name and in the memory of this event. I'm just sharing the video of the same.
Very good. You know, I'm very fond of gardens. You can see ICT gardens, how they were made into such marvelous, and how well they have been improved over the years. My own garden in my house in Runwal Park, I take a lot of interest in the garden. What have you planted? What is the plant?
Prachiti madam, this was Prachiti madam who had planted it. Prachiti madam,
what is the plant? What plant is it?
Sir, it is Tulsi.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So I'm leaving now. Hello.
Hello, thank you so much, sir, for attending. A few announcements before we all leave. Link for the feedback form is shared in the chat box. All the participants are requested to fill the feedback form, and e-certificates will be issued to all the participants after the submission of the feedback form. Also, to subscribe to our college YouTube channel, VES College of Pharmacy. We have an upcoming webinar on 7th August on the theme How to Drive Research in Pharmacy for B.Pharm graduate. Kindly register for the session. The details for the next webinar in the series will be shared with you all soon. Thank you so much. Have a great evening ahead.